Welcome to the True Nerds Podcast, Episode 2, Revenge of the Nerds.
Yes.
This week, we start off with Drowley can't stop playing Destiny, even though there's games out now. And we'll get into some other tech topics and different games we've been playing this week.
Yes.
I'm Drowley.
I'm Kavzi. We have not been on for 2 weeks now, so it's nice to get back into the swing of things. I was extremely sick for the last 2 weeks, so that's why we haven't been doing this. I didn't think it'd be fun for anyone to listen to me coughing or being super nasally. So, yeah, I mean, we've been grinding though. So, yeah, I guess we could get right in with what games we've been playing. So, I don't know, Dan, you can lead the way.
Well, definitely a lot of New World still. I think that's probably the most game I've been playing this week.
I got the shirt.
Oh dang!
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Yep.
I got my tree shirt, but it's dirty. You said yours fit weird. Mine fit perfect.
I hate it. I don't know, man. Like the neck was like, I don't know. Like, you get some shirts and the neck like bows down.
Oh yeah.
It was like that, and then the graphic wasn't like centered. But I did a return, but like I said, Amazon, they're like, no, you don't need to return, and they just refunded me. So I tried to shrink it in the dryer, but anyways, but yeah, this one fits great.
That's weird. They must have just got a bad batch. They must have sized the neck hole on a watermelon and got it wrong, and
yeah.
Some guy was drunk putting on the image on the front. So
right, but I mean, it's still a sick looking image though.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I like it. Yes, I've been playing a lot of that. I keep going back to Destiny. Like whenever I'm just like by myself or don't know what to play, it's just like, all right, I'll throw on Destiny. And then I've been still playing through Pokemon, Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. Playing through Platinum right now.
You've already beat Diamond and Pearl?
No, I was just trying to figure out which one I was playing. Platinum's like the yellow version of that series where it came out later.
Okay.
And has like all the Pokemon versus Diamond and Pearl were like the two that originally launched, and they came out with the ultimate version or whatever. So I'm playing through that, trying to beat it before November 17th, I think, is when Shining Pearl and Glimmering Diamond or something come out for the Switch. So
those like remasters or what are they?
Yep, remasters for the Switch. Yep. So Casey and I are pretty excited. And I just wanted to play through the original before I get into the remake.
Nice. So I haven't played Pokemon since probably middle school, because I think me, you, and Casey were all in the same boat. Like we liked Pokemon, but then after they got past the original ones, I thought they were stupid.
Yeah, each version kind of had a few that you're like, okay, they're stretching on these ones. Like they need to do a little bit better. The second and third gen still had some really good ones, and then fourth gen, I was just like, nope, I'm out. They looked really weird. But now going back and after seeing all the other really weird ones they've come out with since, really wish I would have played Black and White and Diamond and Pearl, because they're some of the best in the series. So.
Yeah, it's usually how it goes though. You skip multiple generations, then you look back and like, oh, I wish I would experienced it in like its prime. I mean, Pokemon, it's original RPG, for me at least. Like I look back now and I think, yeah, that's why I like the game, because you have your Pokemon, you're leveling them, and whatnot. So that's pretty sick, man. Though you're playing on 3DS, right?
I am. Yep.
Okay, I need to pick one up. So. We're going to get into a topic here that's already been talked about a lot. Super excited for the new Nintendo online. But then I see it's 50 bones, which it's $50 a year. That's not a big deal for most people. But then I'm like thinking to myself, okay, the games I'm going to play is going to be Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Yep.
And Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, because me and Dan have already talked about this. We were so young when these games were out that it was hard for us to, we knew we liked the game. We played the game. Majora's Mask for me, sweet spot from my childhood. I remember playing the crap out of that game, but I never could beat it because I was so young. And now I have the opportunity to play it again. But then I'm seeing $50 a year. Is it worth it, or should I just buy 3DS and play the HD remastered versions? Because those are
Right.
both on the 3DS. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where I'm at. So I was going to ask you your opinion on the price point. There's
I
only 9 games coming out, so I'm like,
yeah.
and I feel like,
They've
go ahead.
promised other ones in the future, so they're gonna like expand it. But $50 for the first year. You can't pay for it per month. You just have to buy the year. Initially, I was like, oh yeah, whatever. Like I
Mm-hmm.
pay more for Xbox Live for a year, you
Right.
know. So I was like, oh, not a big deal. And then I looked back at and the original price is $20 for
Yeah.
online,
Right.
and they haven't. I was watching some other people talk about it, and they haven't made the online service itself any better. Online games don't play any better. They're still garbage. No increased server capacity or in-game voice or anything like that. Um, and some of like DS games had voice chat in
Mm-hmm.
multiplayer. So it's like, what? I don't know what they're going doing. And now that you can finally use Bluetooth headsets, you've got a mic built in right there. I don't like, how haven't they done this? And they're going to go 2.5 times the initial price, and they're just selling you on the N64 games. And then the worst part, I think, is they're bundling in the
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing
That's dude.
expansion.
Okay.
So they're charging us for that, and we're not gonna, like I liked I played the Animal Crossing when the pandemic started, and it was a really good escape while you were locked in your house.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of like done with that. I'm not going back to that game. Maybe if a new one comes out, whatever, but I don't really care about the expansion pass, and so they're gonna pass along the charge to us. And so I don't think I'm gonna get it right away. And hopefully
Yeah.
other people don't, and we're gonna vote with our wallet, and maybe Nintendo will make it cheaper. But I doubt it.
Yeah. I mean, I was the same as you. The original price point, I'm like $50, not a big deal. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I could, you know how I am with physical collecting. I'm like, okay, I could
Mm-hmm.
buy 3DS, which prices are going up now. I get that, but I could buy 3DS and then buy the physical copies of the 2 games I want to play anyways, and then be happy.
Yep.
Or I could pay $50 and then probably only play 2 games on there and then just cancel my subscription. But then I never get to keep the game,
Right. Yep.
which is a rental service I get. But the whole Animal Crossing thing, if they came out and were like, all right,
If it was
this is our
$40
first,
for the year and then $10 for the Animal Crossing expansion or whatever, yeah, I'd be all about it. I wouldn't even bat an eye.
or if they're like, hey, Animal Crossing's the first DLC we're putting on here for free, and then when whatever game comes out, that DLC is going to be the next one that's for free. And then you actually have a reason to be like, okay, I know this is a far stretch, but, say this happened a couple of years ago and then Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC was free, or the Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever it's going to be, the DLC is free. And then I think it'd be okay. But just to pay for some old ass games, which, nostalgia is where Nintendo's going to get their money. And I don't think anyone talking with their wallet's going to change their mind on this because it's Nintendo. Let's be real; they're not going to lower their price.
Yeah,
But
unless like it bombs, but it won't because people are just going to pay it
mhm.
anyways because it's a Nintendo.
I mean, look at the hype train we had. The minute I called you,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, freaking N64 games are coming out, and we're so hyped. A lot
Yeah,
of
I
people
was
aren't gonna,
excited.
yeah, not a lot of
I,
people are
I
gonna think about it the way we're talking or thinking right now.
for sure. Yeah, a few people are, I guess, but yeah, I think that's what they kind of did is build hype for it, and they're like, okay, so they waited to see the reaction, and then they wanted to set the price. So they like
Right.
gauged, because I think if they would have announced it and then announced the price, people would have kind of like a sour taste about it, and it wouldn't
Hmm.
have like, blown up all over the place, or people wouldn't have been excited. But they built all this excitement for it, and then they launched the price, and so people were already kind of like in their minds made up of I'm gonna get it when it comes out. I can't wait to play these on 64 games. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah, no, it stinks. I was gonna buy like the N64 controller,
Yeah,
wireless one. Like
that's
I was
already
gonna go in.
sold out within minutes, I guess.
Damn.
Which is funny because you look back at the N64 controller, it's the nostalgia why you want to have it, but you're like, dude,
It's
this
like
thing's
the worst
trash.
controller ever made. Yeah.
um, but yeah, so going over to me for games. Um, Last time we talked, I had started Tales of Arise. I think I got like 13 hours in, and now I have not put down New World. So that was a surprise. I wasn't planning on playing this game. Um, I'm a huge MMO fan, or I used to be, and so I like purposely tried to hate New World. And I guess it's because all the hype around it. I just didn't want to play it. I was sick of people talking about it. I almost wanted it to fail, as bad as that sounds. But one of my favorite YouTubers was like, "Hey, it's kind of like RuneScape," and that was my growing up game where I had hundreds of days played on that game. And the minute I heard that, I'm like, "All right, cool." Called Dan, bought it, and now I think we have now put it down for what, 2 weeks,
Yep.
2 weeks straight. So I don't
Yeah,
know.
like I hadn't really. I'm not the biggest MMO guy. I've dabbled my feet in a few of them, just barely though. Never getting to end game. Destiny's the only kind of comparison, but it's not really an MMO. Um, but I just couldn't stop watching people play it.
So
Um,
what do you feel now that you're actually playing it? Like
uh,
if you had to talk to someone that's never played an MMO, what is drawing you in versus any other game right now? Like, cause like let's be honest, we're both addicted to it. Your brother's addicted to it. Casey was addicted to it. There's obviously some form of appeal, whether you're a MMO veteran or a brand new player.
I really like the third person kind of shooter aspect. It's not 500 spells and you just click and you have a rotation. You just sit there rotating your spells and that's the game. It's you have to aim, hit your shots, you know, be facing the the right person, swinging your sword or lunging at them and hitting them. And I think that in kind of like an MMO shell um, is a lot of fun. The graphics are awesome. The world just feels really fun to explore.
Feels lived
And
in with
yeah,
all the animals and the
for real.
enemies
And it just
for me.
feels it's kind of like another respawn Apex situation where they looked at all the other games in the space and they really thought about every aspect of that genre. They're like, what can we fix? What can we improve on? What did this game do right? What did this game do wrong? And really think about and just New World right now, every aspect of it just feels really smooth.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's thought out. There's no mounts because they filled the world and paced the world so that they're not just filling it with garbage. So I love that. Like, is it annoying to walk sometimes? But like every new territory you get into and every new kind of area has its own kind of unique feel, and it really feels like you're exploring. And then once you get to your destination, you're like, oh, walking wasn't that bad. And once you unlock, fast traveling kind of early, a third of the way through your leveling process, then like you really don't feel like you're walking that far anyways for the most
Mm-hmm.
part. And yeah, everything was just kind of really well thought out for the most part. There's a
Right.
few growing pains that we've kind of had where enemies keep respawning and you trigger, like 5 different enemies from around the area when you're just trying to engage with like 3. Um, and then they just stun lock you and beat you up and then you die and you're like, well, that's no fun. How did
That's
that?
that sucks.
Um, yeah, so you almost have to have like a little bit of a group as you're just like leveling, going through different quests and stuff in certain areas. Um, but it didn't feel that way in the beginning. You could just pretty much play solo all the way through. And then now that we're getting kind of into some of the middle territories, middle level wise, that's, we're running into like denser groups of enemies. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm perfectly fine with things being challenging and hard and me, dying and then having to, learn from my mistakes and re-go at it. But what's the mistake if I'm pulling 3 different camps of groups while I'm just
Right.
attacking one group? I didn't make any mistake. You can't pull one group aside and take it out and then push in because the respawn timer is 15, 30 seconds or,
Yeah.
a minute or whatever. And so,
I think that is one issue that as we've been playing since I played World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy, KOTOR, um, as we've been playing, like Dan just said, they have polished all the other issues with MMOs that I've had before, and they've come up with new concepts that have made the game refreshing. Um, but there are those tweaks like the respawn time on some of the enemy mobs.
yeah, and
Obnoxious.
it's only really bad in certain areas,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where there's just, a lot of different camps all around and you kind of have to navigate your way through. And, as you're killing waves to get into the middle, and then you're getting to your middle, all the groups behind you have just respawned. Now, I just earlier today I played through this portion, level 35 portion on the bridge. Everybody's higher than me, enemies wise, and it just felt really good because I'm slowly moving my way forward, killing everything, and I'm not pulling any other camps.
Right.
And so, if some of those other areas were tweaked a little bit, or if they had some protections where if you just kill the camp and it respawns, it's not gonna, engage on you because you just killed it, then everything starts to flow a lot better. But everything else, from mining and gathering, it all feels really good.
Addictive.
Yeah, in the world, like I don't think we had any of this problem with other MMOs because they weren't as dense enemy wise.
Mm-hmm.
The only time you pulled 100 camps is if you just ran right through the middle and just ignored everything, and then you pulled all the camps. So that was your mistake. Where this game is, because of the high respawn time on a lot of these enemies, it's not. But I guess, once we get past this part, it might not be a problem and get to end game. Everything's a little bit more thought out.
Right. So what's your favorite part about the game?
I just love the world.
Yeah. Just the environment you're in.
The environment's beautiful. Like it isn't, still look, at first glance, it still looks like kind of an MMO,
Mm-hmm.
but then you start dissecting the world and there's dense vegetation. You turn the graphics to high and the lighting engine is incredible. You come up over this crest and you just see the sunset come down. And you're like, oh man, this is beautiful. There's mountains all over the place that you can figure out how to climb through a lot of them and, find silver veins and iron veins, and you can mine those and you feel rewarded for kind of exploring. And I just love that aspect of it.
I'm surprised. I
love it.
I thought you were going to say the audio. I thought it was coming.
I do love the soundtrack's fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the soundtrack's the one game that I've played recently, like as far as like a grinder like this, that I actually don't have music on in the background, or I'm not just ignoring it. I'll actually, me and Dan both turned up the in-game volume.
Yeah,
the
first couple of days, I had to turn all the other volumes down, so the
Mm-hmm.
music, I could crank the music up even higher. They felt like they really put their heart and soul kind of into the soundtrack, and you come up and you really get that feeling in through the music too of you're exploring, and they added some violin and some other instruments that I love, and you're going through and you're like, damn dude, like this is fire music for what we're doing right now. And
yeah, the audio in general too, like if you're in a cave, you actually hear the echoing, or if someone's mining on the other side of a hill, you can tell the deafening from the distance, or if they're closer to you. And they really did a good job. It doesn't feel like you're playing an MMO quite often. Now when you're running quests and stuff, then yes, it feels like an MMO, but overall super happy with the game. One thing I was thinking about though, as I'm playing this, the biggest issue I have with MMOs, I wanted to ask your opinion on this. And you as a Destiny 2 player run into this all the time. Do you ever feel that you are wasting other games by sitting and playing one MMO or one game consistently? Because for me, I was in love with Tales of Arise. Love playing it, alternating that between Destiny 2, and then this game came out, and I've completely shut off Tales of Arise. I haven't played it since then. So sometimes I feel bad about that, which stinks because there's so many good first-person games out right now. So I was just gonna see what you think. Like, do you feel bad playing New World right now versus? Did you finish Kena? Did you finish Kena?
No. I stopped playing Kena right when New World came out, and part of it was because we talked about it last time. I put on a good headset and it has amazing audio, and I wanted to hear it on my surround sound system, and I have a really nice one. Would not play in surround sound. It just play in like regular old stereo, and it would not get loud for whatever. I cranked up my sound system all the way up. In-game volume, computer volume, everything is maxed. Like it was not loud enough at all.
You stopped playing because of that?
That was part of it. Like I liked the world of it, and I liked the sound that it encapsulates you in like a decent pair of headphones, and you hear everything, and it really adds that other bit to the world. And when I like hooked it, I was really looking forward to like, oh, I can't wait to like hear this in 7.1 surround sound or Dolby Atmos, and
just sit back, relax, and
exactly. And it didn't play it, and I was like frustrated with it, and then
New World came out. Shut it off.
I tried, like it was it was distracting from like the game as I'm messing with audio settings and 3 different things, and everything else plays through plenty loud. Windows does, movies do, playing through my computer, other games do. Destiny rumbles my whole house, but Kena, for whatever reason, it was like I don't even know how to explain it. It wasn't even like a fifth of the volume that it should have been, and I had it turned up in every single area that I could.
That's interesting. Which sucks. So, I mean, especially
great headphone game, beautiful headphone game, but it just thinks that it's not like, and it's one of those that you just want to sit back with your controller, recline, pull the lever on your chair and recline back and just have a good time, relax and play. And I just couldn't, it didn't do it for me in that gaming session. And then New World came out and I just haven't kind of gone back to it. I've wanted to.
Right. But then you're too addicted to New World, and that's where I'm at. Like, there's been so many nights where I'm like, oh man, it'd be sick to get on Tales of Rise because I do want to beat that game eventually. But that's the constant problem with me, and I'm sure multiple people have this issue. You get into an MMO, your friends are playing it, or not even an MMO, but any online multiplayer game, whether first person shooter, whatever. You miss out on so many single player games because there's, for us, there's not that much time in the day. We both work full-time jobs. We got families. So, I mean, that's the only negative I see of playing an MMO right now, but I'm still having fun, so I don't really care at the end of the day.
And it is fun just, being caught up in the momentum and energy that a brand new MMO has.
Yep. Yes.
Like, I'd feel really bad missing out on these other single player experiences if I went and played World of Warcraft, because that's been out for 10 years, and likely I could get the same experience 3 months from now. But whereas New World is brand new, nobody
players,
nobody knows anything about anything, and we're all just running around having fun. And I like that. That's part of the reason that I like just like playing some of the flavor of the month games that just release, is Warzone or Apex. When they Fortnite, it was amazing. It was when it first come out, nobody knows the meta or what's going on. The skill ceiling's really low. Everyone's kind of at a more equal playing field, and that's a lot of fun. I enjoy the first 3-4 weeks of that, and then once the meta gets established and the grinders take over, and then I kind of back off and either don't play as much or quit, or I only play it when like a group of friends are on. But it feels it's a lot of fun getting caught up in that energy, and everyone's loving it. Everyone's experiencing it for the same time together. That's a lot of fun. But I do have to like stop myself, and I was like, all right, I got to beat Pokemon before November, so I got to pick it up and play a little bit here and there, and then get on New World. So
well, dude, so like right now I got Tales of Rise, Kena. I want to beat Dying Light because Dying Light 2 is coming out. Halo's coming out. Battlefield, I'm probably not going to play, but like, dude, I'm sitting here counting and I'm already running out of freaking fingers. There's so many single player games I want to play, and but like you said, you're on that momentum with friends, having a blast. But anyways, I just want to pick your brain on that. But let's talk about your camera, dude. Look at him. Look at him.
Yeah.
Dude, you look 10 times better than mine. My camera, I love it, but I hate it. We'll transition to tech now.
Yeah. So as far as our, tech upgrade for the past couple of weeks, my wife and I celebrated our 3-year anniversary, and she really wanted a digital camera, and I also wanted a digital camera for picture taking, but also to
look that damn good.
Yeah, as a webcam. So we bought a mirrorless DSLR camera, and it's a nice Canon one, and it just plugs in USB-C to the computer. You download a driver or some software, and boom, it just picks it up as a webcam and looks phenomenal.
Which is crazy to me because my camera, mine's USB-C. My webcam, same exact thing. I was expecting yours to have like an Elgato or some form of capture card to do what you're doing right now, and you literally plugged and played.
Yeah,
which is great.
And I'd heard. I was still actually thinking about buying the Elgato 4K cam or capture cam or whatever it is. But it was like $179, and I was gonna like buy it on the spot when I bought the camera, but I was like, okay, like I know Canon says there's this like utility for it, and I haven't heard like too many like reviews or good things about, like anybody mention that like, yeah, you just hook it up and it works phenomenal. You don't need anything else, and it has a mini HDMI out. And so I was like, well, before I spend the $179, let me just take it home, plug it in with the USB-C cord, and we'll just see how it works. And
that's insane.
It worked phenomenally, and it works really, really well. Records at, this one only does 1080p 60, but like when you're talking about camera and resolution, resolution doesn't always equal image quality. So
mine's 1080p at 60, and look at the difference. Like mine looks good, but yours looks just like next level.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, and I had kind of just like a $60 or $70 one that we did the previous podcast on, and I was like, man, his looks so good. I need to upgrade my webcam, and
just stomped on mine.
Well,
like, dude, you look like ass now. Thanks, I appreciate that.
I couldn't stop looking at digital cameras for like 2 months. Like when my wife said like she wanted a digital camera, I was like, yeah, me too. And so I've been going on walks and taking pictures with the camera and playing with lens settings and doing all this stuff. And my dog's about sick of me pointing the camera at him out in the yard. But it's a lot of like, just getting a digital camera is just a lot of fun. And you don't have to like, after I was looking at a bunch of these different reviews, like you don't have to get one as nice as the one that I got to kind of
look at him. He can't even stop smiling, dude. It's just
I'm pretty sure this Canon webcam utility is on a lot of different cameras, like going down to just like a mid-range digital camera DSLR. And so for anybody that wants a nice webcam quality like this, it's a little bit of an investment, but you can take family pictures. As you start a family, you can take pictures of all your kids. And so that's where the value kind of came in, and
it's a win-win.
Pulled the trigger.
I mean, you and your wife have something you're both going to use. It's perfect. Because like my web camera, my wife is never going to use my webcam.
Yeah, she was so excited when I got the camera, and like I think this is the first time that we've both been like really excited about something that like I bought or she's bought. Like we've both been really excited about this. I've been watching some YouTube videos. She's been watching YouTube videos or reading articles about digital cameras and how to take better pictures. And so it was a lot of fun, and the results are awesome. Like it's just like it's so much better, and cameras have come such a long way just in the past like 3 or 4 years. You don't even have to be good. You just point it, you put a certain lens on it, and it's like, boom, perfect picture. And you're like, wow, I could, start an amateur or semi-professional like business taking pictures with the quality that like this thing does. And you don't even have to know that much about it.
Right. That's cool. Yeah. So you got that. We don't need to go into super big detail. Everybody knows what it is, but you got the OLED switch.
I did.
So that's cool.
Yep. Little bit underwhelming, actually. Like I was super kind of excited, and then without having the previous switch and the new one side by side, I haven't even touched my old one, but I looked at it and I was just like, you can tell the screen's a little bit bigger, and you can definitely tell it's more like vibrant. The colors are, but the no other kind of upgrades to it feels pretty bad. You know, it just kind of just feels like a regular Switch.
Battery, yeah.
That's the whole reason I upgraded mine, was because I still had the first gen Switch, and I was only getting like 2.5 hours if I was lucky, if it was 100% fully charged. And so this one definitely has way better battery life. So I got the the V1 upgrade where they increase the battery life a lot, and then the OLED goes even kind of farther than that. So that was my reason for upgrading. My brother still has my Nintendo Switch Lite, which I love. So he's getting
you and two other people in the world love that, so that's good.
Like it's tough because for most people, if you're only going to own one Switch, you got to have the regular one because you can dock it and play it handheld, right? So, and then the Switch Lite, you only can play it handheld. But if you're a handheld player, like I play a lot of Game Boys and stuff, it feels really good. It's lighter. The screen isn't that much smaller, but the unit itself is much smaller. It fits better in your hands. So I'm excited to get my Switch Lite back too.
I'm not sold.
In your bag.
I mean, for you. I mean, if they had cross saves profile, yes.
That's another thing they've screwed up so bad.
Yeah, but
some games it works great. Like they have a service where you can upload them and then download your cloud saves, but you can't do it for Pokemon, and you actually can't even they don't save it to the game anymore. It's saved to a specific profile on one Switch.
Right.
So then even if you're signed in on a different Switch with the same profile, you move the game cartridge over, you start a new game. You physically can only play your Pokemon save on one Switch.
Yeah.
You have to move your entire profile over like you
Which
bought
is
a
a
new
pain
Switch
in the ass
every time. Yeah.
That was my issue because I was actually going to buy a Switch Lite when it came out, and then when I watched reviews, everyone's like, Nintendo, come on, but I digress. We talked about it last podcast. Got my badass new fan on my CPU.
Yeah, we upgraded that in, and
Drowley came over this weekend, popped her in, spent about an hour overclocking. My rig is perfect. It's insane.
We noticed immediately more frame rates in games, lower temperatures, faster rendering for videos, and CPU performance in general.
Even just having that extra fan, we went into to my BIOS, set each fan in my case to performance, and so just the airflow coming in with that bigger fan, bigger heatsink on my CPU actually started drawing temperature away from my GPU, flushing out the back, and now my temperature in game, the current game I'm playing, New World, has actually dropped 3 degrees, which is insane when you're dealing with Celsius.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because it's 3 to 3.5 degrees Fahrenheit per degree Celsius, so like a 10-degree drop in temperature by just upgrading a CPU cooler.
$60 or $70 upgrade, not a big deal.
Yep.
So
and the whole thing's quieter, and it's phenomenal what a decent CPU cooler you can really do on it. Yeah. So we pushed it to his 2700X to 4 gigahertz flat, and it doesn't go above like 79, 80 degrees Celsius even at 100% load, rendering out a video or doing Cinebench. So
it's wild. And
then in game it's like 50.
Yeah, I think I was only at 55 in game or something.
Yeah, insane.
So I'm super happy with that. It pays to know people. It pays to have friends who are nerds. Because I understand this stuff when he explains it to me, but watching him sit there and overclock for an hour and just really just tweak it, because the first one we're like, okay, like it didn't. Actually, the first one wasn't stable. That crashed.
Yeah, that was kind of normally you get a crash like right away.
It took 10 minutes.
Yeah, in the 10 minutes of Cinebench render, it got to like 8 or 9, and then it decided to crash. And then, of course, because we were using a little bit more of a budget B50 motherboard, we had to take out the CMOS battery to reset all the settings to get it to come back up.
Which that was a pain in the ass because we had to take it was right behind the graphics card. You
right
had to take
below
the
the
graphics card. So we had to
yeah.
move my case back to the, the table.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, you can save like a decent amount of money going um, micro ATX, micro ATX versus full ATX motherboard, a smaller one. And then when you realize, like, when you're doing some of that extra stuff, you're like, oh, the graphics card covers up everything. And I got to take it out to reset it. That's when you're like, damn it, I should have spent the extra 20 or 30 bucks.
Right.
But
that's still a good motherboard for. I mean, do you like my build's perfect right now?
oh,
Super
yeah.
happy.
It just and it turned out to be that load line calibration thing where the higher
Super
load
aggressive.
it gets, it drops the voltage down. And so we set it. I set the voltage at like 1.35, which is like pretty much all Ryzen CPUs can run at all their settings at 1.35. And so when it like crashed, I was like, that's so weird. And then we saw it running again, and it was dropping to 1.2. It's like, okay, that's like the minimum. Like you couldn't even run boost clocks at 1.2 volts. And so we increased the load line, and every step was like way more than it should have been. I've dealt with some load line stuff before, but they're all like very minuscule changes.
This was
so
super
we ended up
aggressive.
just having to, we just ended up having to just take off load line calibration altogether and just let it sit at what I'm telling you to sit it at.
Right.
And then it ended up running perfectly.
Yeah,
fine.
she's running perfect. Super happy. But yeah, I mean, I shouldn't. The next upgrade's gonna be a CPU, but that's not gonna be for a year or two. There's no reason for me to upgrade in a while.
Yep.
But you got anything else you want to talk about, man? Anything else crazy? Anything in your life? My life sucks lately. I'm just been sick.
No, yeah. I mean, I got a little temporary setup right now because I'm painting my basement finally the right color after I painted 3 walls and let it dry, and then I was like, this is not the right color. I don't like it at all. So I went back and got the right color that I kind of wanted, and finally kind of get around and touching everything up, and it looks so much better. But long story short is the little swatch of color that I saw, it looked gray. It was like, this is a gray. This is like a lighter gray. It's perfect. And I initially wanted a darker gray. My wife's like, don't get too dark. It's going to be a dungeon down there.
And that's what you
get
want.
A lot of, that's kind of what I wanted.
She should have not told you what to do right then.
Well, we already had an agreement that I get to choose whatever I want downstairs, and she decorates and makes all the decisions upstairs, and I don't distree with her, or I don't put my influence in upstairs. So she gets what she wants upstairs, I get what I want downstairs. And then she started, saying these
get out of the man cave. Get out here.
Yeah, I should have, because it would have saved me about $170.
Dude, paint
that I spent
is not
on my first
cheap.
paint.
Yeah.
And I wanted nice paint, and because I've worked with some cheaper paint and putting on 2 coats, I'm doing this all myself. I was like, no, not doing it twice. Just gonna do it once. And I like the way the nicer paint like dries and looks and stuff. And so
the gray now looks awesome.
Oh yeah, did a nice charcoal gray. The other one ended up being blue once I put it on the walls. Yeah, it was like you look at the whole wall and you're like, that's blue. And then you look at the color swatch and you're like, that's gray. And then I put it next to it and I was like, it's the same color. Like, I was so pissed. Either I'm blue-gray color blind or what, but I was just like, damn it. So this time I actually bought a little paint sample for $8 or something and painted a whole section of wall, let it dry to make sure that I can see gray properly before I went and bought 2 gallons of paint. But
yeah, dude, paint. When I moved into this house, we repainted the entire house, and big pain, huge pain. But we actually had a similar issue as you. Well, not really an issue. Heather kind of lied to me. We painted our hallway, and it looked like kind of like a cream white on the paint thing. Mm-hmm. What are they even called? They call them like paint swatches or anyways, but dude, pink. There's a pink hint, and I'm like, I got done painting, and like we have a huge, when you go up the stairs, there's a huge high rise with a like as you go turn up with a light hanging down. So like I was standing on the ladder stacked on each other and like get it done. Look at the next day and it's pink. I'm like, what the I'm like, and she's like, yeah. I'm no, that's the color I want. I'm like, oh,
We
yes,
did
honey.
not agree on this.
Yes, honey, you're right. But yeah, no, it's just funny. But yeah, that's all I got, man. Like I said, I've been sick. Super happy to be back on this. We want to do this every single week. Just talk about stuff we love. So it's nice to, it sucked to take 2 weeks off, but again, no one wanted to listen to me hack up a lung and sound super nasally for 40 minutes. But yeah, that's all I got for the week. And Dan, you good?
Yep.
Well, yeah, thanks for anyone tuning in. I don't know how many there are, but we'll keep building her up. Hopefully
thanks to you nerds out there.
Yeah, that's right. Show it. Be prideful of being a nerd. Real quick, dude, I do look back. I'm like, in high school or college, you almost hide it a little bit, depending on what
in
kind
high
of
school. I definitely tried a little bit.
Whatever social group you're in. Like me and you both played football. We were in other sports. And it's like, you're like a closet gamer. And now, dude, I'm like full on like buying Kirby shirts and Super Mario, dude. Let it shine.
It feels so good. Yeah,
let it shine.
Just be yourself. I kind of noticed about like 6 months into college, and I was like, dude, like nobody
screw
cares.
this. Yeah, no one gives a shit.
I'm having way more fun just like letting everybody know. And then you find out those people that we're also hiding stuff that they like, and you're like, dude, are we just like become best friends?
Right. Yeah, if you want to do karate in the garage. All right, everybody. I'll get out of here, and actually, we're gonna go grind New World. So
let's get on, baby.
Talk to you next week. All right, later, everyone.
Bye.